and welcome to Temple Street, the show brought to you by the Department of Communication and Journalism at Suffolk University. I'm Melanie Odell.
And I'm Lenny Rowe.
And I'm Jeanette Odihid. On today's show, we'll report on safety concerns associated with ride-hailing services, visit the country's first non-profit grocery store, and take a closer look at Boston's farmers markets. We'll also sit down with the new president of Suffolk University, Margaret McKenna.
Later, we'll ask Bostonians if the country should take in more Syrian refugees and learn how a local town celebrates Hispanic Heritage Month. We will end, as always, with our critic at large, Lenny Rowe. What do you have for us today, Lenny?
Well, today I'll be talking about politically correct America and how being PC is killing competitive sports, especially at the high school level.
Well, that's definitely a sensitive issue right now, so I'm looking forward to hear what you have to say.
I'm sure that'll be good. But first, the news. Ride-hailing services are becoming popular across the country and the world. Companies like Uber and Lyft are the newest, most favorable way to get a faster and cheaper ride. But while these services are expanding, dozens of recent sexual and physical assault accusations against drivers raise concerns about what companies and state officials are doing to ensure rider safety. Michaela Paris has a story.
The days of having to flag down a cab are over. Ride-hailing services are the most recent and convenient way to get around the city fast. After downloading an app, riders can enter their pickup location, their destination, and get a ride within seconds. With convenience, though, comes concern. There have been at least 14 accusations of sexual assaults in the last year alone in cities like Chicago, New York, and Boston. Safety issues within ride-hailing services have created uneasiness, especially for young female riders.
This guy kind of pulled up and said he was Uber, so I didn't check the license, nothing. I just, automatically assumed, oh, okay, my Uber's here, and I got in, and I didn't realize what was going on. Like, it clearly wasn't Uber. I had no idea until afterwards, but he was asking me some sketchy questions.
Although apps have created tips for identifying your driver and making sure you're in the right vehicle, Governor Charlie Baker and many other government officials are pushing the issue and urging for more to be done in regards to rider safety. House representatives have proposed bills in hopes of creating assurance in safety for riders. Stricter background checks on drivers, 21-year-old minimum age for employment, and insurance for drivers as well are just some of the proposals. Many drivers say they support the bill and are also doing their part in creating a comfortable atmosphere for their riders. With the growing popularity of these services, riders are encouraged to take more precaution before getting into vehicles by matching the license plate to their app and confirming the name and picture of their driver. Reporting for Temple Street, I'm Michaela Pires.
Uber officials say they stand behind Governor Baker's bill and encourage their riders and drivers to sign a petition to give the bill a push on Beacon Hill. You can visit petition.uber.org/mass to sign.
Almost 50 million Americans are facing food insecurity, a lack of access to affordable and nutritious food. Meanwhile, almost half of the food produced in this country is being thrown away. In an effort to tackle both of these issues, Doug Rao, former president of Trader Joe's, has opened the country's first nonprofit grocery store right here in Massachusetts. I traveled to Dorchester to see just how the Daily Table works. A local Massachusetts town has become home to the country's first not-for-profit grocery store. The Daily Table, located in Dorchester, is challenging the issues of food insecurity and food waste head-on.
The price is right, and I can find some very healthy food in here.
Freddie Shonkoff, senior director of the Daily Table, says founder Doug Rao opened the store with the goal of providing a variety of food types to families in low-income areas that is not only affordable, but nutritious as well.
So much food that is produced and grown that we actually don't use. About 33 to 40% of the food that's produced in this country goes uneaten. So he decided to marry the two to solve both problems by taking advantage of a lot of the excess surplus, perfectly wholesome, nutritious food that's out there, bringing it in and making it available to our customers.
The Daily Table also sells grab-and-go meals, with a selection of vegetarian and vegan options also made with donated ingredients. The meals are prepared on-site by local cooks. One customer says the store is her new favorite place in town.
They have such good deals. The prices are great. The produce is good. The food is usually comes from local, and it keeps the cost down for for the customers.
The Daily Table aims to hire locals and has already employed 30 Dorchester residents since opening in June of this year. To further this initiative, store officials say they are planning to open a teaching kitchen across the street. This will provide local residents with cooking lessons on how to prepare healthy food without breaking their budget. Reporting for Temple Street, this is Melanie Odell. The Daily Table plans to open several more stores in the greater Boston area as well as other cities across the country.
The U.S. Department of Agriculture lists over 8,000 farmers markets nationally. Massachusetts ranks 5th in the nation with nearly $48 million in sales. As city officials try to promote the growth of these local markets, the question remains whether or not customers will pay a higher price for locally made products. Temple Street reporter Mark Robbins visited some of these markets to find out if the bang is worth the buck.
With almost 30 locations citywide, Boston has offered incentives to customers looking to buy locally grown products. The Boston Bounty Bucks program enables low-income residents to double the value of their food stamps when making purchases at farmers markets. Consumers are also able to trust the health of the products.
I would rather have my family eating healthy food where I know where it came from than wondering where it came from and who grew it and what chemicals and things they pumped into it.
Farmers have the goal in mind of reaching a broader customer base outside of their hometowns and into larger consumer bases such as Boston. Bagel vendor Adam Hirsch sees progress and believes that a cohesive workflow amongst the varying food stands is helping each vendor by cross-promoting their freshly grown products.
This works, like what we're doing here is helping. I know it's helping these farmers. And yeah, it's helping us. We bring people to this market and therefore customers to the farmers. So, yeah, we're serving ourselves by being here, but it's not without intent that we come here.
Direct farmers market sales account for 10% of the state's total agricultural sales. It seems that for a healthier product, customers are willing to turn away from big business and buy locally. For Temple Street, I'm Mark Robbins.
While most of the 28 markets closed their doors on November 1st, a select few will stay open through Thanksgiving. Visit bostonfarmersmarkets.org to find a market nearest you.
Earlier this year, Suffolk University named Margaret McKenna as the new university president. With a long list of achievements, including extensive work as a civil rights lawyer and leading Lesley University for 2 decades, McKenna says she wanted to join a school she's always admired. I sat down with the new president to find out what she has planned for Suffolk's future. I'm here with the new president of Suffolk University, Margaret McKenna. President McKenna, welcome to the studio and welcome to Suffolk.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here with you today.
So, as someone with extensive work at so many universities and different organizations, what made you choose Suffolk as the next step in your career path?
Well, I've known and admired Suffolk for a long time. When I was the president of Lesley University in Cambridge, I think people often ask me, if you were going to work in another university after I was there for about 10 years. People said, what kind of place would you go to? And Suffolk was always on my list. I admired it as a place that was a real influence in Boston and in the Commonwealth, and a place that was in the city, of the city, contributed to the city, a really model university. So while I wasn't looking for a job, and I didn't think I would be a university president again, when this position became open, it was irresistible, I would say. So, and I made the decision, and I'm really glad I did. It's a great place.
Now, when you were president of Lesley College, the school transformed from a small regional school to a larger university. What transformative plans do you have for Suffolk?
Well, I think there are a few things that we could do. I think we need to re-engage the alumni. We have 75,000 alumni, a lot of them in this area. Of course, they're around the world as well. They're very important to us. I think we need to think about cooperating with other colleges and universities, with businesses around the region. We need to bring them in, tell us what their needs are in terms of hiring people, make sure that our curriculum fits to create the skills necessary for the workforce of the future. And I think we need to focus on the things we do well, and there are a lot of them. And we only want to do what we do as well or better than others. So I think focus, re-engage the alumni, and I want to support the institution by raising money, this is a place that deserves support.
As someone who's done so much work for civil rights and women's rights back when you were a lawyer, what plans do you have to bring more diversity to Suffolk and increase women's rights on campus?
I think it's important for young women to have models in leadership, different kinds of models. And so I think that's a step in the right direction. I think we want to ensure all kinds of diversity on the campus, in the student body, in the faculty, and in the administration. Our student body is very diverse, and we want to make sure that our students can see people like themselves in the faculty and the administration. It has a great deal to do with attracting students and retraining students to see that they have models of success right in front of them. So I want to make sure that we can diversify our faculty and administration.
I can tell you're definitely a very ambitious person. I was actually reading that when you were in high school, you were class president.
I was. I think starting in 9th grade and in college.
Oh, really?
As well, yes, for all 4 years. So, yes, it's probably in my DNA. I guess I like running things, and it's one of the things that's interesting, I think, that sometimes women in particular shy away from saying, I like to be powerful, or they think that's sort of not something they're supposed to want to do. But, you know, power is what creates change and good. So it's something I'm comfortable with, and I guess I was comfortable at an early age and have continued to be.
Well, speaking of women in power, you're the 10th president of Suffolk University, but you're the first woman president. What does that mean to you, and do you think it's important for your students to see a woman in charge?
It's important, I think, to see diversity of leadership, not only diversity in terms of gender or race, but of diversity of style. And yes, I think it's important for young women and men to see women in leadership and people of color in leadership. In this country, we've never had a woman as the President of the United States. We may have one, but now we've had a person of color in leadership, and I think that seeing that as a child, you know, an African American child, and says, see, I could be president, and I think that's very important for people to be able to see that.
I have to ask, as a young woman who is about to graduate, what advice do you have for women who are trying to lean in and be as successful as they can be in today's world?
I would say the most important thing you can do to get ahead is to acquire great skills. And you've come to the right place. Young people say to me, I want to make a big difference. I want to have a position of leadership, or I want to make a positive difference in people's lives. And I always say to them, get great skills. I mean, great technical skills and great leadership skills.
You've had over 20 years of experience as a university president. What would you say that you've found is your biggest responsibility to your students?
I would say the biggest responsibility is living up to what we promised them. So we invite you to our campus to be part of our community. We need to live up to what we told you we will give you. I think my job is to ensure that we do what we say we're going to do, and that we live up to our responsibilities when we invite someone to join us as a student, that we deliver on what we promised.
Well, as a university president, especially at a school like Suffolk where the campus is a little spread out, I know it can be difficult to kind of connect and speak with all of your students and your faculty. Is there anything you want to say to the students or the professors to let them know a little bit more about their new president?
The first couple of months here have been, demanding, exciting, but also a lot of fun for me. People have been incredibly welcoming and generous with their time and their views. People have a lot of ideas and offer a lot of advice, which is a good thing. And I welcome that. I think one of the things is that people think presidents actually know what's going on all the time, and we don't. So I welcome hearing from people in a variety of different ways. But I will say, after the first couple of months, that I thought that this was the right decision, and now I absolutely know it was the right decision. And the students are all I could hope for. You know, smart, interesting, feisty, fun. It's just great to be around them. And when I get bogged down in decisions or issues or quandaries about what to do, you know, what I do is get out of my office and go someplace where there are students. And it reminds me what's great about the place.
Well, it was so great to get to talk to you, President McKenna. Thank you so much for being here.
Well, thank you for having me. Invite me back.
Oh, yes, I'm sure. Sometime soon.
That was a great interview, Melanie. New academic building, first female president. Suffolk's future's looking bright.
Hey, maybe if Suffolk is ready for their first female president, maybe the country is too.
Maybe. Don't go anywhere. When we come back, we'll learn about Hispanic culture through music and dance and hear Bostonians' opinions on taking in more Syrian refugees.
In 1977, an 8-year-old boy picked up the game of golf from his father. The odds of that same boy then making it to the US and European pro golf tours, 1 in 7 million. The odds of the Big Easy winning the US Open twice, 1 in 1.2 billion. The odds of him having a child diagnosed with autism, 1 in 88. Ernie Els encourages you to learn the signs of autism.
Traditional light bulbs actually generate 9 times more heat than light. Switch to Energy Star light bulbs, and you'll realize just how much cash you were really burning through. Saving energy saves you money. Learn more at energysavers.gov.
Welcome to my block party. Glad you can make it.
The only triple doubles you get come with fries.
Last time you blocked someone, you were online.
I can do this all day. Your moves are just gay.
Using gay to mean dumb or stupid, not cool.
Not cool.
Not in my house, not anywhere. It's not creative, it's offensive to gay people. And you're better than that.
Over 50 million people in the U.S. today are of Hispanic origins, and every fall brings a month of celebrations to mark this rich cultural heritage. Here in Boston, Jorge Arce and the Humano Multicultural Project set out to celebrate and preserve the Afro-Caribbean roots in traditional Puerto Rican music and dance. I went out to Roxbury to join the festivities and get in tune with my own Puerto Rican roots. Neighbors came together to celebrate the Afro-Caribbean influence in Puerto Rican arts at Roxbury's Deli Square. People enjoyed music, performances, and even tried their bomba and plena moves with lessons from the dancers.
This is just a bright spot in this community, and we need more events like this.
Bomba and plena music emerged in the 17th century when enslaved West Africans who worked the sugar plantations were seeking to create a sense of community. Bomba was a source of political and spiritual expression of their conditions. The Humano Project works to preserve this story and continues to pass it down through generations. This is especially important in this election season as Latino communities face misconceptions about their culture. Member of the Humano Project, Sandra Marcelino, says events like these are critical to preserving the traditions previous generations have tried so hard to maintain.
These kinds of events are super important because they give an opportunity for people who are doing this type of cultural preservation work to come out into the community and to connect with other people who are seeking that kind of event, that kind of energy, that kind of connection.
Latinos use cultural events not only to pass down the traditions, but also to heal and move past common stereotypes. Recent comments by presidential candidate Donald Trump riled up Latinos across the country, calling for unity among Hispanic communities nationwide. Jorge Arce says people sometimes forget where their ancestors came from.
The United States is an immigrant country. They forget about that their ancestors were immigrants and they went through the same problem.
As the Latino population continues to be one of the fastest growing minority populations in the country, activists say communities' heritage celebration will be key to preserving their roots and contributing to the nation's diversity. For Temple Street, I'm Jeanette Orihel. Jorge Arce and the Humano Multicultural Project hold workshops throughout the year. They give audiences of all ages an opportunity for a unique exploration of Puerto Rican and Afro-Caribbean culture through music, dances, and stories handed down for over 2 centuries.
As Syrian refugees continue to flee their war-torn homeland, they have been forced to seek safety in other countries. But while some nations accept thousands, many have been forcefully keeping refugees out.
So far, the United States has taken just over 1,800 refugees since 2012. I went out and asked Bostonians whether they believe the United States should be taking in more refugees.
Absolutely. We need the support in that area, and we've let those folks down. Europe's following the trend of letting them in, and we have to pay attention as a race, not as different governments. It's a sin what's going on. It's genocide.
No, I think they should deal with their own people before they start dealing with other countries. They have enough of their own problems to deal with.
We should help each other. We're all brothers in Christ. There's one race, one human race, made in God's image, to know Him, to love Him, and to serve Him.
Of course I think they should take them in. There's families, children that need to get out of there, and they're in serious danger in this situation. And if something happened in the United States, I'm sure we would want to reach out for some support.
If I was in that position, I'd want someone else to fend for me, just like how the Europeans are fending for them.
Just think we have enough going on. We're spending enough money for other things. I just don't think it's something that the U.S. should really be handling now. We give a lot to other countries. We owe a lot to other countries, and just don't think it's something that the United States should be partaking in.
There's so much going on in Syria right now, and I feel that they deserve it. They definitely deserve it, especially the civilians that are suffering through what's going on.
Absolutely not. We should not take them in. We should instead send them to countries where they have the ability to give them the welfare that's driving them, because we're broke. A lot of people don't realize this nation has been in default since the 1930s.
The United States is now making plans to accept 10,000 Syrian refugees in the coming year.
I have to say, after seeing those pictures, I definitely think we should be taking in more refugees. I can't imagine having to live in those kind of conditions.
That last guy was something else.
Yeah, I was pretty surprised at how opposed people were to helping another human being out. I mean, some of them got really worked up.
Well, I know another guy who's pretty worked up. Lenny, I know you're passionate about high school sports. What has you so fired up today?
Oh, that's right, Melanie. Political correctness in high school sports is driving me crazy. We're so concerned with making everyone feel equal. Everyone's a winner, no one's a loser, but like the red tape of bureaucracy, we sometimes get tied up in the process and lose sight of the real issues. In high school sports around Massachusetts, the idea that everyone is a winner is killing competitive sports. Lately, the state has been making strides to make everyone feel equal, like there's no such thing as a loss. When it comes to the state final, the winner gets a trophy and a medal. The runner-up, they get the same size trophy and a medal as well. Maybe the NHL should make another Stanley Cup trophy so the loser can skate around with that. A high school football team went 0-7 in the football season, they still get a postseason berth. While the top teams in the state vie for a state title, losing teams are placed in a non-playoff bracket, meaning the games they play during the season do not matter. You can play and get a medal. Hooray! Kids need to realize that failure happens. It's a part of life. Losing is unfortunate, but it builds character. Why are we taking away that experience just so little Johnny can feel good? The occasional loss, and I lost a lot when we played football, helped me realize that sometimes your best isn't good enough, and you just need to keep on trying. Imagine being a student that has to pay their own tuition. Hard to imagine, right? You work as hard as you can to balance work and school, But what about that other someone who has their Italian sports car and tuition paid for by their parents? They don't even have to show up. There's little incentive to be here than just to live it up. Between the lines, kids learn valuable life lessons while in a safer environment than the real world. Taking away the occasional sting of defeat means that kids will be at a deficit when things go wrong in the real world, where consequences can be far more dire. But hey, if everyone gets a medal just for showing up, I'll take my paycheck, thank you very much, and head over to DraftKings. There's no such thing as losing, right?
Wow, you made some really good points, Lenny. I actually have so many of those little participant medals around my room, and you're right, they really do take away the competitive edge.
And isn't competitiveness is what sports is all about?
It is unfortunate, but at least we're not talking about Starbucks' color of their cups or anything like that.
Well, that's all we have for today's show. Thank you from all of us here at Temple Street. I'm Melanie Odell.
And I'm Lenny Rowe.
And I'm Jeanette Odihid. We'll see you next time.